Yo, what's good YouTube? Bringing you another review of The Promised Land chapter 81. It's called To the Bitter End. Obviously picks off right from the last chapter, so let's just talk about it. I don't know how I feel about this chapter. So right away, we are introduced to the chapter. We see, Nigel with Gilian, and they are discussing how is Bayon, Demon Lord Bayon is here, how is that possible? And the question that they're asking is what happened to Zac and Pepe, and basically that kind of sets up this whole chapter because now we basically get flashbacks to how Nigel was talking about Zac. So we basically get some background information on Zac and how he is one of the veterans of the group and how he's one of the most skilled and how his, he ranks right up there with Oliver, and they go into more detail about his role. And it seems that his role is more of a medical role. He takes care of all the other children, making sure everyone's okay, and if there's any injuries, he's there to give them assistance and heal them up. And the reason for that is because he himself gets injured the most. And then when we talk about as to why that is, it's because he's always the one willing to push himself further than he has to, willing to take the scarier or more dangerous mission for the sake of his comrades. And basically you get the gist that Zac is one of the main people who supports the group and is willing to do everything for the group. As we continue with the chapter, I actually kind of like how it sets up this kind of feel for what happened, because we don't get any definitive flashback or any answers as to what happened to Zac's group, but we do get small hints here and there. Like when Bayon is walking, they zoom into his spear and there's blood all over it. And Nigel there's, panicking, he doesn't know what to do, but he kind of collects himself and concludes that they have to stop Bayon, because if they don't, this whole plan falls apart, and basically Lewis and the rest of the demons, including Bayon, will win, and the children are essentially. So it looks like kind of like Nigel is scavenging around his own brain as to what to do. Doesn't seem like he's the biggest planner or the smartest planner, and I don't really blame him, because him and Gilian are the only group without special shots. So I think that includes like snipers, powerful rockets, and like powerful hand pistols, something to take out the masks definitively. And they're facing Demon Lord Bayon, who is the second ranked most dangerous demon besides Lewis. It goes Lewis, Bayon, everyone else. And so when you're dealing with a person like that or a demon like that and you don't have the tools to defend yourself, you kind of scramble to figure out what you can. Essentially what happens, and what sets up is that Nigel decides to split with Gilian. He suggests that they should split, and then Gilian figures out that that's not a bad idea, because if they do split, one of them will go distract Lord Bayon and possibly take him down, while the other one will run back with the information to pass along to the rest of the group and the rest of the children, back to Lewis, back to Oliver, back to Lucas, back to Oliver, explaining that, Bayon has beaten Zac's group, or they're not accounted for, and this is what happened with us. And then what happens, which kind of threw Nigel off, is that Gilian was supposed to be the one to run back with the information and basically save herself. But what happens was, once Nigel counted down to 3, Gilian ran to the other opposite end, sacrificing herself and actually blowing the whistle, so grabbing the attention of Demon Lord Bayon. And then they're figuring out what can they do, and this whistle is heard throughout the whole location, all of Goldie Pond. And basically we zoom into Gilian saying, sorry, I can't just be a sacrificial pawn. I need you, referring to Nigel, to be the one to carry out the mission for the sake of the children and for the sake of humans in the future. So the chapter ends, and it's basically Gilian just saying, she's not the type of person to go let a comrade sacrifice themselves for her sake, and that actually she wants to be the one to sacrifice herself for the sake of her comrades. And as the whistle is blown, Nigel thinks to himself, with the whistle blown by Gilian in kind of a non-planned pattern, Oliver and the rest of the group will realize something happened, something out of the ordinary happened to one of the groups, and that will trigger everyone to kind of be on alert as to something's up. The demons may have won a battle, they may have escaped a trap, or in this case, Demon Lord Bayon is somewhere where he shouldn't be, And in the last panel, we get Gilian rushing straight to Bayon, and then Nigel yelling out her name. So these kind of chapters are very like kind of feel good moment chapters. They kind of make you appreciate camaraderie and friendship and all that, but it doesn't necessarily give you the action that I always look for in Promised Neverland, you know, especially in the earlier days when the Promised Neverland was just releasing. There's so much you know, gory scenes, so much action, that's what attracted me. But now we are kind of, this chapter is more of a setup chapter as to what will happen with Nigel and Gilian specifically, and hopefully find out what happened to Zac, because it seems like Zac's a very pivotal person in this group, and losing him would actually be a devastating blow for the rest of the series, or for the rest of this kind of portion of Goldie. Now, a few things I want to kind of just go over my head here is, what will Gilian do? I mean, I don't think her or Nigel will beat Demon Lord Bayon. At least I hope they don't, because that would really ruin Bayon for me. That would ruin his character. I mean, he's supposed to be one of the scarier demons, and for him to be taken out by two children that aren't even the top rank children, you know, they're not the smartest, not the most athletic, not the most resourceful, that would kind of just bring down his whole image. However, I could also see Gilian right before you know, making contact with Bayon, then Zac and Pepe will show up, and then it's a 4-on-1, and in that case then we have a better chance of seeing Demon Lord Bayon lose, because I'm pretty sure they said earlier that Zac's group had special weapons, and again, Nigel's do not. So I'm interested to see how this develops, this sequence with Bayon. I'm also interested to see what happens with Lewis, because when Gilian blew the whistle, there was actually a small shot of Lewis looking over as, you know, the whistle was heard around the whole Goldie Pond area. So even Lewis noticed the whistle, and he probably wondering, you know, what does that signal? So I'm interested to see how these all plan out. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do you guys enjoy the Promised Neverland? You know, obviously 81 chapters, still new, still fresh, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to continue reviewing it. I kind of want to see where this thing goes, at least to chapter 100. If it can build off something, if it can make it more interesting, more, you know, grab more viewers, then definitely it's going to be a staple in my weekly reviews. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment on what you think of this chapter and what you think will happen with Gillian's group, and, you know, what do you think of Lord Bayon? Because I said in my previous video, I think Bayon is, you know, one of the coolest characters. I think his design's amazing. His whole like white figure, this kind of Grim Reaper Shinigami look, but with like a shaman flair to it. I think it's definitely a unique design. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Peace.